Hola clase, welcome to the class. Bienvenidos a la clase. I hope you read my welcome message. Among other things, it has very important information on how to access Canvas and how to buy our book. I'm assuming you will have access to Canvas on the first day. So this is what you will see on the first day, on the first or introductory module. It's essential that you read all of it carefully without skipping, or you will feel lost later. Reading all of it now will save you time and frustration later on. Let's go over some of it briefly, and you can read it more in detail once the class starts. So there's a welcome message, there's a syllabus, components of your grade, and due dates. The syllabus has the essential information about the class, including where, how to buy your book, maybe where to get financial aid, the student learning outcomes, the definition of cheating in this class so you're not caught unprepared, the pronunciation key, how to type accents on the computer, and an important note about the requirement of passing the final in order to pass the class. Finally, there is a dropping policy. I may or may not drop you before the end of the quarter. I'm usually very good at dropping people in the first 2 weeks, but towards the end, it gets a little into a gray area. So I want to emphasize that the ultimate responsibility for dropping the class is yours. Okay? Components of your grade will tell you how your grade is determined. So there will be assignments from the textbook and workbook. We will get into those in a minute. VoiceThread discussions, I will explain those too. The written discussions on Canvas, quizzes and exams, and the final exam. Again, you must pass the exam in order to pass the class. Let's go back and look at go back and look at the due dates. So this is where everything that is due appears. We will be working on a couple of places, on Canvas and on Dos Mundos, our textbook and cuaderno. So you will be going back and forth between those two. I wish I could house everything in Canvas, but it's just not possible. So you will have to work between those two places. On Tuesday, there are a couple of things that are due in Canvas. If you go to the first module, you can see them there. They're very easy. I don't think I need to explain them, but let's go just to make sure. So if you go to the first module, you will see there is a written discussion, and there is an oral introduction, and there are ejercicios de pronunciación, pronunciation exercises. The oral introduction uses a tool called VoiceThread, which we will use throughout the rest of the quarter. Okay? All right. So these VoiceThread exercises are places where you will have very detailed and guided instructions on what to do. You don't need to get very creative. Just follow the instructions, which are tied to the gramática and vocabulario we're studying. If you have any problems, I suggest that you use Firefox or Chrome and also contact VoiceThread. I usually don't get a lot of problems, practically none of it, during the quarter, but the technical help at VoiceThread is very useful and very fast. Let's go back. On Friday, there are these activities due, and these all come from the textbook and cuaderno. The fact that they're due on Friday doesn't mean that you have to do them on Friday. They are open already. You can start, and I encourage you to start as soon as possible. The same for all these activities that are due on Monday. They're open already. You can do them ahead of time. Bien. In the book, you will be going over vocabulary, you will be going over grammar, and there will be listening activities, written activities. On the Tuesday of the second week, you will have to do actividades de comunicación, which require a partner. After our first exam on Pasos A, B, and C, all those communicative activities will be due every Wednesday and Friday. So I know this looks a little chaotic right now, but there is a pattern to it. We will have written discussions on Canvas that open every Wednesday and close the following Tuesday. We will have VoiceThread activities every Thursday, and we will have communicative activities, the ones that require a partner, on Wednesday and Friday. Everything here is what is due in the class. Everything that is due is here. Everything that is due on Canvas and Dos Mundos. Okay, in order to get the book, you need to click on this and follow the steps. This is not a physical textbook. So you just make sure that you have the Dos Mundos. The Plus package is only 181, and just follow the steps to buy it, okay? Once you have access to it, this is what you will see. You will have access to the textbook, the cuaderno, grammar tutorial, and some other tutorials, and some other resources. The first activities on the due dates calendar say to read the vocabulario in Paso A and the vocabulario in Paso B. So, please do flashcards or write these words down, say them out loud. You can also listen to them here. However it works, you need to be familiar with the vocabulario in Paso A and Paso B, or in any given chapter before you start doing the gramática and the other activities in the chapter. That's why it's always the first thing that I schedule. And that's why I also include a vocabulary quiz in each module. Okay? Let's look at the calendar. It says textbook, gramática y ejercicios Paso A, and it tells you what to read, on what exercises to do and not to do. In this case, we're skipping number 2 and number 7. So let's go. In the gramática y ejercicios, you need to read the grammar and then do these exercises. Except number 2, we don't do that, and we don't do number 7. Let's say we do this one. So after reading the grammar, you need to complete this exercise. ¿Cómo se llama usted? Me llamo Esteban Brown. And these are your only options, okay? Esteban, ¿cómo se llama la amiga de Mónica? Etc. Again, it will be very hard to do these exercises without studying the grammar and the vocabulario, okay? I'm late, but I have 2 attempts remaining. You will have 3 attempts per activity. You can also click. Let's say if your grade is not important to you, you can also click and just look at what the correct answers are. And it tells you here the following answer is acceptable. Okay? Whenever you sit down to do the activities on Dos Mundos, I suggest that you review the ones that you did the night before or a couple of days before by going to results and just checking. Okay? You want to make sure that you did them correctly or that you are learning from your mistakes. You will make mistakes. That's completely natural because learning a language is a process, but you don't want to keep making the same mistakes. So always go back to reviewing your results, right? Okay. Now, if I've written a comment or a correction on one of the, as I call them, Profesora graded exercises, a little icon will appear here. Whenever I don't give you full points on a Profesora graded exercise, I will include a comment or a correction. Make sure you read those so you don't make the same mistakes over and over again. Okay, so as you saw in the, there's also the Cuaderno activities, right? So in the calendar, again, where is the calendar? It says Cuaderno paso A, actividades auditivas, so listening activities, except F y H. So we go to the cuaderno, de actividades auditivas. So there's escritas, written, auditivas, listening. So all of them except F y H, okay? And there will be also actividades escritas, also detailed in the due dates calendar. For example, no? Some of them assume that you are in the classroom, and that can be a little confusing because you can't turn around and look at your classmates. For example, ¿cómo se llama una persona que tiene pelo rubio y rizado? What's the name of a person who has blonde and curly hair? Pues se llama Jenny. Of course, you don't know because you can't really see your classmates. Just write something that relates to your family, something, or a famous actor, actress. The idea here is not so much to aim at the truth, but to do something that's logical and that you can learn from. In this case, learning how to say somebody's name, which is se llama plus a first name. So don't get too caught up in being completely accurate, okay? Follow the model and just do something very simple. Most of these exercises are very simple. ¿Qué es? As you can see, here it says lea gramática A.3 and A.4. All these exercises, the actividades auditivas, the actividades escritas, everything is related to a particular grammar point. So make sure you read that grammar point before doing the activities. Please don't jump straight into the exercises without having read the vocabulary and the grammar, or it will be very confusing. Now on to the communicative activities. You will need a partner for the actividades de comunicación. You just need to be able to be online at the same time, and when you are, you both hit record and complete the activities. Again, they're usually very simple and there are many ways to complete them. I just want you to be thorough and to do them in a way that is productive to you. So rather than just read them very quickly, just make a mental note or a real note of how things work in context. ¿Cómo se llama el amigo de? Oh, okay, so that's how we ask somebody's name. And you say, oh, se llama Luis. ¿Cómo se llama el amigo de Esteban? Se llama Luis. Make a note of how this, how Spanish works in context, how the grammar is used in context. I think this is it. But of course, if you have any questions, let me know. And I'm sorry you'll have to keep toggling between two places. But it's just impossible to house everything in Canvas. I suggest that as you do these activities, maybe you pull out the vocabulary on a different window or have your notes by your side as you do them. They are not tests of how well you've memorized the material. That will come later. These are just activities to help you practice and learn in a process. So have the vocabulario or the gramática open on different windows or open on your notebook as you do these activities. ¿De acuerdo? Please let me know if you have any questions. Welcome to the class again. Adiós.